Well, this fall there's been a lot of soybean seed ordered for 2011, and when seed dealers are out talking to farmers, they're also asking about seed treatments. Now certainly you could buy an inoculant like a biological product, but most commonly now farmers are looking at these, what they call complete seed treatments, which are fungicide and insecticide combos.
Well, complete is a term used to describe insecticide and fungicide. It may or may not have any biological product in it, and none of them have inoculant.
Right.
So it's really a little bit of a
complete.
misnomer. Yeah. There are other things that you can do, but they're products that cost typically $10 to $12 per unit. So for most farmers like us, we look at it as, wow, that's a big thing. It's a decision I'm probably going to make in the fall because I'm likely to prepay that because it's going to be a large portion of my bill. So I want to know what the differences are because there's quite a few different seed treatments out there. There's Cruiser Max, there's Acceleron, there's Trilix 6000, and then there's the new Innovate that just got started this year. And there are some slight differences between the products.
Okay, so we'll kind of go through each one of these four. But let me just first say that there really isn't that much difference. The most important thing is to use something. You use any one of those fungicides or any one of those insecticides, and it's going to be dramatically better than doing nothing. The other big thing that I would say here is not every single year do these things pay. And I know it's a little hard to spend $10 an acre and not get at least $10 back out of it, but some years it just doesn't happen. Some years you don't have diseases because it's so unbelievably dry, and some years for whatever reason we just don't have insects show up. So that can happen. But the flip side of it is very often guys are gaining 3 to 5 bushels, sometimes even more than that, and so you've got enough to pay for that combo product for 3 to 5 years.
Well, yeah, if you use that product for 5 years, it costs $50. So you're going to get 5 bushels of beans back throughout 5 years. 5 bushels total.
I'd be shocked if you didn't in almost
Absolutely.
every
And what you're going to see is in some areas of your field, maybe it's that low spot in the field that held water just a little bit longer. You may see a big benefit through that part of the field, but maybe not so much up on the hilltop. Or you maybe see it one year where you have a big aphid impact. It does pay in the long term, but you have to have realistic expectations of what these products are going to do. They don't solve every problem.
Right, and the other thing is it makes a lot of difference what the price of soybeans are. I mean, if soybeans go up to $15, well, I mean, it's a no-brainer, and every farmer in the country better be doing it.
Here come the letters. Where are those $15 beans, Brian?
Well, I'm just saying, for example, but if soybeans go down to $5 a bushel, you know, maybe you have to think a little bit harder, especially if you're in a dry area that only gets 20, 25 bushel soybeans normally.
Well, some of these choices get made as to which product you're going to use, depending on what type of seed you're on. Some seed companies are exclusive to one of these 4 products. They don't really give you a choice.
That's pretty typical.
We do need to know what the differences are, and if you need to change from one to another, you want to feel comfortable that other one's going to do an okay job.
Okay, so we've got these 4 products. Let's talk about the insecticide components first, because really all you're dealing with here is Cruiser, Gaucho, and Poncho. And they're all in the same chemical family. They're all neonicotinoids. They're really going to do a very similar job in terms of insect control. So whether it's Gaucho, Poncho, or Cruiser, I would expect great control out of bean leaf beetles. I would expect some control out of grasshoppers and cutworms. And I would expect moderate control at best on soybean aphids, but at least you are going to have some suppression of soybean aphids, especially the ones that would show up earlier in the year. Let's talk about fungicide now.
Well, the fungicides are a little bit different. Each one of these products has got a different combination, and some of them, like Acceleron, allow you to vary the components in there a little bit too. So you do have to pay attention to which ones are in there. Now with the new Innovate, there is a new fungicide called ipraconazole that's part of the Innovate package, and it is systemic. And that's something that's exciting. It's one of the better ones. It's in the triazole family, but also it does move better throughout the plant than some of the other fungicides. Now on our farm, we've suffered from Phytophthora, Pythium, Rhizoctonia. We've got a number of different diseases that we face, and ipraconazole really fit the bill for what we were fighting for diseases on our farm.
But for most of these products, you've got 2 different fungicides in there. You've got the apron component, or that same active ingredient, and that's better on Pythium. Then you've got the other component, whatever that would be for each one of these different 4 products, and that's going to be a little bit better on Rhizoctonia and Phytophthora. Well, again, sure, they're different products, but when we compare all 4 of them, from Acceleron, Cruiser Max, Trilix 6000, and Innovate, there's not a lot of difference. I personally think Innovate is slightly better. Obviously, Monsanto thinks their product, the Acceleron, is the best. Syngenta is going to come out and show you data that Cruiser Max is the best. And surprisingly, Bayer says that Trilix 6000 is the best. I think they're all really, really good.
Well, they are good products, and here's the thing. With any of those four, will you get a good return on investment, as we mentioned? You really should. But is there anything exciting that's different between them? Well, with Innovate, for example, it has 3 ingredients and they're all systemic. That's the only one of those 4 products that can say that. Now, the differences with something like Cruiser Max come from treatability. You don't have to mix any water. It's just straight Cruiser Max that you're putting on the seed, no water. Where some of the others tend to mix some water in there, and for handling and getting it on the seed, that can make a difference in some cases, especially when you have wetter soybean seed like we had this spring.
And then with Acceleron and Trilux 6000, you've got a biological component to each of those. So each one of these is a little bit different. The other thing you want to ask your dealer is, what's the respray plan if you have some bugs that come back later in the season, like grasshoppers or cutworms or bean leaf beetles, or especially soybean aphids? What's the respray program? Because with some dealers, you're going to get a free respray, even up to 2 free resprays, if you put that seed treatment on in the first place. So just make sure you're checking all that out. And again, most important thing, use one of these products. They're all way better than using nothing at all.
And they aren't going to make up for poor quality seed. If you've got seed quality that has poor germination, or you have just the wrong variety for your ground, the seed treatments aren't going to completely fix the problem. So you still have to be careful in your seed selection as well.
Well, another thing you have to be careful for is you've got to control our Weed of the Week. We'll tell you how to do it on your farm coming up later in the show.